Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome to a best of 5 series of top level StarCraft 2. It's time for a Zerg versus Terran, between two absolute channel favorites, two, well, previous and current world champions of StarCraft 2. We're in the upper left, playing in red, we have none other than ByuN, and at the bottom right, in game number 1, we're looking inside of the main base of Serral. The current world champion, the previous world champion, considered to be the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time, but of course, you can never count Micro Jackson out. Although, well, now that I'm thinking about it, there is this famous clip from a few years ago at a Home Story Cup, where ByuN basically was trash-talking everybody, and he was talking about how he could go ahead and beat anybody in the playoffs. This was right before they drew the bracket, and basically as soon as he found out that he was playing against Serral, he wasn't all too happy about the situation.
ByuN, let's find out who you're facing, my man.
자, 이제 대진표를 살펴볼 거고 이제 여러 상대가 나올 겁니다.
How do you like it?
You got your wish. You got your wish, ByuN.
Are you happy?
Nice.
Why did you say you wanted Serral?
That's what you wanted. And here, Merry Christmas.
Oh my God. Be careful what you wish for, ByuN. He said, like, I wanted to face Serral because it was an interview. I didn't really want to face him.
I don't think that there's anybody out there that really enjoys playing against Serral, but I do believe that ByuN has a reasonable shot. This is a matchup where Serral has been playing some very complex build orders as of late. There's also some really decent maps, I think, for Terran right now. 10,000 feet seems to be relatively neutral. I mean, I guess some of these outer bases in the late game are a little bit difficult for a Terran to push into, but there's a lot of variety available right now for Terrans. A lot of the top tier Terrans are enjoying a bit of mech again, which I really like. I've been seeing Maru play quite a bit of it. Not sure if ByuN is really a mech kind of guy. He could go ahead and, well, I guess he can go ahead and if he really wanted to play maybe some battle mech. That kind of controls a little bit similar to the Marine Marauder type of style that ByuN usually prefers, but for now, we're just gonna go into a good old Reaper first, and a command center on the low ground. Likewise here for Serral, nothing out of the ordinary, sending that first overlord across the map, hatch gas pool on his side of the map, and he's gonna be mining 100 gas here, I'm sure, before pulling out. Something actually Serral does pretty consistently. A lot of the other top Zergs, they do pull 2 drones out of gas a little bit earlier just to get the link speed started at a reasonable time, but not super early. Basically just to ensure that you can guarantee the third base starting before that Reaper gets across. Serral, though, never really does it. He pretty much always gets metabolic boost going before any of that third base shenanigans, and he seems to always get away with it. I wouldn't even really mind if Terran players started countering this a little bit more and just send a Reaper, in this case, just straight towards that third base where a drone is pretty much always hiding. But Serral has been getting away with this for a while, and this is, of course, the safest way to play, right? If you don't want to take any damage early on, getting Zergling speed as early as possible is certainly the right call. Triple command center build right here for ByuN. Nothing too crazy there either. We're probably going to see the big switcheroo. Starport here with the next 100 gas. There it is. Double Hellion production will begin momentarily. And if we want to be super standard, we should get a tech lab as well onto that barracks and then switch the starport over to it when it's done. Get a little bit of Hellion benchy play. That is the bread and butter build for most Terrans out there. There it is. Although I will say, lately, even though this is the go-to now for like 5 years, a lot of Terrans have been going for something a little bit greedier. They've been cutting corners left, right, and center, especially in this matchup, because across the board, Zergs have become very predictable. None of the Zerg players are really going for any sort of roach cheeses or anything too cheesy in general, so I guess if you know that the Zerg is pretty much always going to be playing macro, you can cut some corners yourself as well. Not in this instance, though. Triple command center, Hellion benchy. Second tech lab on the back of this already, so we'll probably have Stimpack here starting up momentarily. And this is going to set ByuN up for a very easy mid-game. Easy in the sense that he can technically defend anything the Zerg throws at him. He doesn't really need to deal a lot of damage here with these Hellions and with that Reaper. Any damage is nice. Serral going in for the normal scout. We do have a faked out cloaking upgrade here. That is a real Stimpack, I would imagine. He's just starting up that research here for just a moment. And he'll probably cancel it. Yep. The reason being, of course, is that the Raven upgrade is quite a bit cheaper to start up than the Banshee cloaking, which is what he's trying to fake out. Serral will have to go for a few spore crawlers just to be safe. Unless he feels like it's fake, but usually this is not something Serral will do. Not really somebody known for taking risks. Alright, so far, this is quintessential normal StarCraft. If you ever wonder what a regular game of Zerg versus Terran looks like, that's this. That's this right over here, which means that we are, well, going straight into a strong mid game and possibly even a strong late game too. Because usually when players go for builds like this, they don't really do anything too crazy in the mid game either. There are technically like 8 Rex all-ins that ByuN can play every once in a while, but I feel like whenever I see ByuN going for an 8 Rex these days, he will always start it off with like a command center first and a little bit of a greedier early game, just so the all-in later on hits a bit harder. So I've got a feeling we'll probably just see 5 Rex for now. 5 Rex, 4th command center, probably a 2nd factory as well out front. And then eventually we'll go up to 8. With Serral, I'm not really expecting any sort of mid-game aggression here whatsoever. This is a safety bailing nest. He did get the lair a little bit sooner just to get a movable spore crawler, right? In the sense of an overseer. Bailing speed starts up though, and probably go double upgrades here. Carapace will fire up momentarily as soon as he's got the minerals for it, which is right about right now. Hey, nice. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Serral is going to go for any sort of aggression. We will probably see him trying to transition just to the safest late game possible. And this is all very normal. I was talking a little bit earlier about how Serral's early game has been a lot more complex lately. How he's been trying his absolute best just to, well, stay alive, I guess, and take 0 risks. Usually he juggles like a Roach Warren with it and some really quick double Infestor play. He's been delaying Baneling speed until much later on into the game. Maybe because he's going up against ByuN? I don't know though, ByuN's micro is really good. At least against Clem, he seems to be delaying the Baneling speed a lot. It could be actually that these games are played online, so they're played cross-server. South Korea going up against Europe, it does mean that there's going to be maybe 150 ping or so for both players. So maybe because of that alone, he feels like he can actually just defend with Banelings early on. Whereas if you're playing on the European server against another European player, maybe it would be more difficult to pull off. Either way, this will be the first big attack here for ByuN. Siege tanks are in a really lovely position, and already he's closing on the hatchery itself. Zerglings, though, will be going in around the side. Queens as well, tanking the front lines. The tanks are going to disappear, and what about this bio army? He goes after the rocks for just a second, and it looks like Serral just narrowly defends that base. If ByuN was given another second or two, the hatchery would have gone. But now the queens can begin their transfusions, and he'll live to mine another day. Hive coming up right now as well. And we'll probably see this hatchery fired up in just a moment, although... Oh. The little drone here is still hard at work, mining out the entire mineral wall. Fair enough. ByuN wants to go for a follow-up push. He did, by the way, go for an 8 Rex. I was wrong. He did go for an 8 Rex here with a delayed 4th command center. That one starts up right now. Just defending the 8 Rex like this, though, is really good here for the player from Finland. Just not taking really any damage so far, just trading out units is really nice. But he's not out of the woods just yet. This is still a load of Marines all the time. He's been pumping them out about 12 at a time here most of the game. And it does mean that the amount of units available here for ByuN is still very high. Another surround, though, is going to shut down 2 more tanks. Again, the bio units get cornered. Yeah, and Serral makes it look easy. Even though the defense here looks very slim, it looks very narrow, that's exactly what he's hoping for. Like, that's exactly what he wants. If he would easily defend this, it means that he could have droned up harder. As a Zerg player, you're pretty much always trying to just min-max that defense, and... well, he took a bit of damage on the hatch, but he hasn't really lost anything critical. Still, the multitasking right here from ByuN is going to be something to worry about. No Banelings available over here on the left, even though I do think the Zerglings are gonna clean it up. That is a meat grinder and a half. Siege tank over here, though, on the right is nice. He's going to be able to shoot across this little crevice. There is a light, though, at the end of the tunnel. And the light, it's Ultralisks. The problem is that the Ultras will not be out for a while yet. And before they are going to get their armor research for sure, ByuN is going to finish up 2-2, which is really nice. So if ByuN wants to press the issue, right now would be the time. Since Serral can't really break that position, he's thinking about going in for a full-on counter-attack, and that is one way to try and defend at home. Sometimes the best defense is the offense. The push on the left does get helped by ByuN. What about the Lings on the right? Many of them end up dying there too. What about the units over here? He did already elevator play a couple of them across. And eventually, with a lot of those Terran units going back home, Serral does break that position. ByuN needs to go, though. I really don't think that ByuN should sit here on his side of the map for too long. Like, he's got the superior numbers right now. He's got the superior upgrades. He's already been killing so many Lings as well. Yeah, not bad. Look at the resources lost. About 3,000 minerals more. Similar amount of gas. Here's the issue, though. Ultralisks. Or as Serral calls them, Ultralisks. Hatchery? Ooh, nice snipe. Great snipe. He does not have Liberators yet. There are no ghosts available here either for ByuN, who's gonna snipe another hatch. ByuN, woo, don't forget. You didn't want to look at explosions there for a moment, man. Cool guys don't look at explosions, I suppose, but when you're shooting at it with Marines, you should definitely not take the risk. Okay, so that's 2 bases going down. Not a whole lot of drones falling, but this is putting Mr. ByuN here in a very comfortable spot. I think it's time for these medevacs to go home. Parasitic Bomb deals 120 damage. Medevacs have 150 HP. So as long as they're full, it should not, well, go down here. This is going to give Serral, though, a little bit of time to breathe. And he's going to go for his favorite move that he's been, well, doing over the last few months. And that is a 5 Overlord drop. It's usually the first thing he does after getting to late game. So after he gets to the late game tech, 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. Yeah, usually you get 6 or 7, actually. But anyways, load them up with Marine or with Zerglings to try to fight those Marines as soon as they pop out of the barracks. Little balloons are going to be heading towards the left side of the map. Ultraling Bane, though, is going to be much nicer at chasing down these medevac drops. More and more siege tanks, though, set up in the middle of the map. Really lovely movement here from ByuN, it has to be said. Do we still have those Vipers out? Yeah, they have enough energy. More parabombs would be good. Currently? Okay. The Overlords are empty. But here come the Lings. It's time to send them in. Okay. It's time for a little bit of extreme multitasking. Another hatchery does fall. But what about this? ByuN is likely going to have to fall all the way back. He does have some Marauders and Siege Tanks, but against upgraded Lings with Adrenal Glands and in a few seconds time, +3 melee, that's not gonna be good enough. If you're not careful here as Terran, you can actually just get eaten up from the inside out. This is very expensive for ByuN. SCVs are dying as well, man. Denying those upgrades would be absolutely phenomenal here for Serral, but he doesn't know how close they are to finishing. Hatchery in the bottom left, though, is going to go down. Zergling Ultra Bane, counterattack on the right side as well. Suddenly the pace has been picked up. Hatchery over here, though, has also been denied of mining. What about the Planetary Fortress? Banelings are rolling around, and he will ultimately commit to blasting it to pieces. The Zerglings in the main base now burrowed underground. The Overlords are still hiding off to the left. New medevac drops are arriving. This hatchery is dangerously low. Fungal growth to prevent. Okay, the final snipe. And suddenly, even though this game was going incredible for ByuN, suddenly he took a nosedive. And it's all off of the back of that, I guess we can call it a +3 Zergling counterattack with Overlords. Isn't that kind of crazy? This was going really well until the 5 Dropper Lords arrived. Yeah, the Adrenal Glands upgrade, this one right over here, it's a 40% attack speed improvement for Lings, roughly. And with +3 melee, they just destroy everything. ByuN was just starting up his transition to countering Ultralisks, so he was pumping out Marauders and Siege Tanks and all the rest of it. No longer really making a lot of Marines in the main base. And right when he makes that transition to the Marauders, that's when the Zergling drop arrives. That's when the Zerglings max out. Okay, ByuN now forced to slow down the pacing of the game a little bit. He's making a whole lot of command centers. This is him settling into his new role of being a turtle. Yeah. We go from being a very nimble player, from being flexible out onto the map, to turtling up. Let's see, Zergling drops will continue. More and more siege tanks are going to fall if you're not careful. Luckily here, the positioning is nice though. More and more Ultras breaking in. We have a blinding cloud as well. This planetary is not gonna live. Oh. And this is going from bad to worse right now here for ByuN. Look at the resources all of a sudden as well for Serral. The banks are looking really good for him. 3,000 minerals, 2,000 gas. ByuN barely able to max out. And I mean, he's kind of stuck in like his opening... it's kind of a quadrant, I guess. But he's stuck in his... he should really finish off these command centers. He's stuck in his side of the map. Okay. He'll try to sneak out a base. Spoiler alert, there's a Zergling. It's blocked. I mean, we don't hear it. It's my best Terran expression, or my best Terran impression there. Man, this is a waste though. 800 minerals right here for ByuN, just not being utilized at all. He clearly hasn't looked back in the main base for a while. But that could be a very big mistake, because he's still adding on so many command centers. The fact that he's not finished off those is a big deal. Now, Serral is a polite person. He decides to send in the Zerglings to try and, notify ByuN of it, although he killed one of them. No cancel. And to make this Zerg mobility issue even worse for ByuN, now we have a Nidus network coming up as well. Viper over here has been microed really nicely. I guess for ByuN at least, the nice thing here is that he cannot be having his siege tanks abducted anymore while they're sieged up. So that is something. Ghost production finally begins. Serral's face checking right now with the Vipers. That's really expensive, but fair enough. He was thinking about moving in with some blinding clouds and maybe some abductions on the lips, but I think this position here for ByuN is quite good. Fungal growth though, he needs to be careful. We did see a nice EMP as well. Still, Ultras just live for so long. He's backing up. He is backing up as some Corruptors are now added into the mix. That's actually why Serral committed to that fight. He just wanted to open up a little bit of supply. Rather than mining the 3 o'clock base, though, he's going to move those drones all the way towards the left. Okay. Now, I got to say, ByuN has done a really good job. Hey, Jimmy. Jimmy will defend everything. The perfect answer against Zergling drops. Jimmy can't be reached, although I guess Lynx could drop off right next to him too, at which point he has got nowhere to run. But anyways, ByuN has done a really good job stabilizing from this spot. This upper right-hand base, I was a little bit concerned for originally. I didn't think he was going to be able to really secure it, but he made it. And this looks pretty impenetrable, right? I mean, at least for Ultraling Bane, you can technically run in, but it seems very risky. You know what is good, though? At breaking those sorts of setups, and, well, that would be the Brute Lord. Serral, at the very least, getting that transition ready to go in case he feels like he needs it later on into the game. Nidus Worm goes up all the way in the corner of the main base, though, for ByuN. He will be able to gun it down. And that'll be the end of that Overseer as well. Okay. Okay. Hats off right here to ByuN, though. Kind of felt to me like he was gonna get overwhelmed right at the very beginning of the late game, I suppose, but he's maxed out again. And this is a Terran now maxed out on 6 orbitals. We have another command center here as well. They'll probably get a planetary hat. Pesky little Zergling, though. 2 more CCs added into the mix. Those will probably both have orbital commands, too. And when you get up to like 8 orbitals, it's not so bad, right? When you get up to 8 orbital commands, you do feel pretty confident as a Terran player. No matter the mining of the Zerg, when you have mineral lines available as a Terran, life is at the very least doable. Don't get me wrong, though. He's certainly on the back foot. Get him, Jimmy! Yes! Jimmy, the absolute legend. He doesn't even hesitate. Let's go. We should all aspire a little bit more to be like Jimmy. He's a good man. The man on the ledge. The man on the edge. Jimmy. The man on the edge. It's a movie I'd watch. Ooh. Well, we're making a very expensive transition now. 3 additional factories coming up for ByuN. So, ByuN is going from full Marine Marauder medevac to Liberator Siege Tank Ghost medevac to soon full Mech Ghost. It's a very powerful transition. The only concern here that I have is that the amount of resources you spent just on like the buildings alone, just on like the infrastructure, is kind of ridiculous. Like, this is an amazing build. Oh my god. Here we go. Serral actually moves in. Expensive play here for Serral, but truthfully, he's got so many blinding clouds here and so much money that he can keep this going for ages. Yeah, and he kind of needs to trade out at least a little bit. He does break the position much more comfortably than I thought he would. Yeah, the problem here is that ByuN does not have infinite resources, right? Like, if this map was twice as big as it is, I feel like this transition is a no-brainer. But Serral has already mined out like 50% of the total amount of minerals and gas available. And that means that there's a finite supply remaining here for ByuN. Like, say here as the Terran, you get... Maybe if you're lucky, if you get 40% of the map's total resources, and Zerg therefore has the other 60%, if then you're spending some of that 40% on all of these buildings, I'm afraid that you will just run out of juice. Like, yeah, you have all of those orbital commands. You have 8 of them, right? Maybe another one added into the mix momentarily. You've got 5 factories, so many tech labs, 8 barracks, where if you compare this to the Zerg player right here, and this is one of the real big strengths of Zerg in general, you just make 1 spawning pool, 1 ultra cavern, 1 spire, right? You don't really need that much. Serral has spent so much less just on, well, infrastructure alone, that I'm a little bit afraid that ByuN is going to fizzle out over time. Like, he's fine for now, but I think Serral is very happy with where the Terran is currently at. If you draw like a line through the middle of the map, right? Like, if you imagine half the resources to be for the Terran and then the other half for the Zerg, Serral now has both of the quote-unquote shared bases. So the 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock base on this map, one of those two should be for ByuN. ByuN knows that. So he needs to break one of the 2 positions. Rather than going for one of them, he commits to fighting both. I don't know, man. There's a lot of ghosts running around. That's nice. But I feel like fighting both of these things is a little bit risky. Yep, Serral immediately capitalizes on it, though, as he knows now that that Terran army is split up. Planetary Fortress in the upper right goes down. Now the Zerglings swoop in as soon as the planetary threat is gone, and that means a lot of SCVs are going to pay the price. In the meantime, the defense on the left side has been good enough as well. ByuN wanted to take out both. Ended up taking down neither. And I think what we're witnessing here is a Terran with a very slow death animation. Like, he's still healthy. He still has good numbers. He can technically reinforce this army for a while to come. But in like another 10 minutes or so, the map is going to be mostly mined out. And Serral is going to have a bank that will be absolutely ridiculous. ByuN will have all of these buildings, but very little resources to actually spend on it. So, what do you do? I also really like this transition now, though, to, yeah, all of the upgrades. So look, Serral is going for a more sustainable unit composition now. We're switching away from mostly Ultraling Bane to what looks like more of like an Infestor and then eventually Brute Lord setup too, which is just a unit composition that gains value over time. Okay, this is ByuN's Hail Mary, though. He needs to get something done here. And it looks like he may just be able to kill the base. Serral going in for a counterattack towards the upper right yet again. He does kill the hatchery, that's big. if ByuN can actually start mining this expansion, there is still hope for him. Serral, though? Okay, he wants to squash that hope as soon as he can. 8 brutes coming up. +3 air weapons coming up as well. More and more infestors. Neural Parasite will be available. One of the most powerful plays right now for Serral is to Neural Parasite one of the ghosts and then EMP the other ghosts. It's a bit of a tricksy move to go for, but if you pull it off, the Terran is basically dead for like 30 seconds minimum. Like, you can't really do anything anymore as Terran, and all Serral really needs right now is time. Fungal Growth here is perfect. That's a ghost down the drain. A bunch of Hellbats as well will go down. Siege Tank on the left will not be too lucky. Even Microbial Shroud is being researched now. Fair enough. Command Center in the upper right. Coming up yet again. Okay. Microbial Shroud, of course, now also reduces damage from ranged sources by 50%. It does work against things like Liberators. It does not work against things like Ghosts, because Ghost damage, is considered spell damage. At least, you know, their actual lock-on ability right there. The steady targeting spell. Their auto attacks do get reduced. Oh, Fungal Growth across the little river here. Yeah. And while I don't think this is a poorly played game right here for ByuN, honestly, he did a great job. Ever since the Zergling drop, like 15 minutes ago, the Zergling drop in the main base, when he was forced to slow everything down, it's just been downhill. Serral seems to be nearly unbeatable in these situations. He's too fast. He's got too much control. He's too handsome. What do you do? And this is where Terrans can sometimes feel a little bit, I guess, desperate against, especially Serral. They win most late games against other Zergs. Serral just seems to be nearly unstoppable. And now that the Thors are coming out, guess what? Neural Parasite is done. Now, this is still nice, though, for ByuN. He's got a little bit of juice coming in. Some skinny mineral fields. But at least he's not completely mined out yet. Look at Serral's bank, though. Like, we are... Probably the next time I glance down at the bottom of the screen, he's going to have 20,000 resources available. ByuN does make the move now, though. Can you do 2 Hail Mary plays in one game? I don't know sports, okay? I just know the expression. Is it 2 Hail Marys? I don't know. Probably not. Either way, he did one on the left, and now he's doing one as well on the right. And he does snipe the base. Kind of felt like Serral gave this one to him, though. Yeah, he's focusing his attention right now. Trying to choke out the Terran here on the left side of the map. A couple more Corruptors going in for their Caustic Sprays. Oh, never mind. Just one more Corruptor going in for the Caustic Spray. Fungal Growth just to get those ghosts to back off. And, well, ByuN is going to try and snipe at least some of them. Ugh. Yeah, he's just not getting the job done. Yeah. I mean, nice hold, though. The Terran army is coming in clutch. Ooh, careful, ByuN. Careful. Oh, he decided to step onto the creep. That means that the Lynx, the Ultras, and the Banes are just going to crash into it. No Neural Parasites required this time around. One Thor will live, but that was very expensive for ByuN. And even though maybe resource efficiency-wise, right, it's okay, Serral can just, well, bounce back so quickly. ByuN is getting to the point where he will not be able to max out again. It's okay now. He has decided to stop reinforcing this army with more SCVs, meaning that he is going to get up to like 170 army supply here eventually, which is much more than the Zerg is going to be capable of. But this is the Swarm. There will be many waves. And after sitting back for a while, Serral now apparently is smelling blood. He's going in. This is a decent position, though, here for ByuN. Like, if we have, like, a full army fight, this might be doable here for the Terran. This position, though, is phenomenal for Serral. The Fungal Growths are really good. So to clarify, if the Ghost takes any form of damage while the snipe ability is channeling, the snipe is cancelled. So it takes about a second. If you take any damage in the meantime, the ability is cancelled. Hatchery on the right side does go down another time. Already though, Terran has not had any of the money here. I guess we could drop like a load of mules and try to grab whatever's left over. It's better than nothing. He's still lending mules. He's still mining a bit. It does feel a little bit hopeless though for Terran here, right? Like you wonder what you do here as a Terran. Really, it kind of feels, and maybe I'm mistaken, but it kind of feels like at this point as a Terran player, you are relying on Serral making a very significant blunder. And it's kind of felt like that for the last 10 minutes. Now, most Zerg players will fat-finger their control at some point, right? Like, they will make a hotkey mistake or just a little micro error in general. Maybe at that point, ByuN can strike. But so far, Serral seems to be very sharp. By the way, how's the Marine on the... No! Jimmy! Where did he go? The man on the ledge disappeared. Another orbital command also goes down. 13 drones, 14 drones do die here as well on the right side of the map. No, we're making a new command center? ByuN! That's the last thing we need. Oh, no. Dude, I swear, sometimes ByuN has a command center addiction. We're trying to make money, ByuN. We don't need another CC. We have command centers, man. I know that a planetary fortress is real nice, but at this point, what we need is a bank. There's barely 400 minerals remaining on the map. The Brute Lords advance. Microbial Shroud for the infestors themselves. It's a little bit selfish. But I guess now they can tank a little bit of siege tank damage. Yeah, this fight is really good for Serral, though. The selfish infestors, man. Microbialing. Microbialing? Is that a word? Shrouding. There you go. Shrouding themselves against the Terran. It, of course, does not affect air units. Those Brute Lords were not underneath the Shroud. Yeah, and even though all of these fights in isolation are pretty decent for the Terran, now this fight not so much, there is just no way you can fight the bank. ByuN flat broke, stuck at 100-something supply. Serral has got, well, money for the next game. Now, lucky for us, he cannot take it into the next game. But his first map, it was very dominant. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Winter Madness. Command center first, this time around here for ByuN. You love to see it. Getting that command center down nice and quickly when you know your opponent is pretty much always going to be playing Hatch Gas Pool. I don't mind it at all. I think this is one of those builds that's pretty risky on the ladder if you're doing like a one-off match. There's a lot of cheesy Zergs out there, but I think it's totally fine if you play this against somebody who is very much so known to play macro games. And I gotta say, Serral's looking very sharp again. He has had some issues in the past in Zerg versus Terran, specifically against Clem. But he just seems to have pretty much everybody else's number all of the time. What do you do here as ByuN? Like after that previous game, where do you go? Yet again, Serral does mine 100 gas. Yet again, he fires up the metabolic boost. Yet again, he's got a drone hiding over at the third. Now, he will have seen the timing of the command center with the Overlord, so you don't have to be too safe here with the drone. It can just stand right in the middle. Fire up the hatchery. And likewise, those Zerglings that were produced to try and counter a Reaper, they can now go across the map to maybe do a little bit of scouting, or maybe to move out if the Marines decide to be a little bit too adventurous to go after Otto. Don't you even think about it, Jimmy. Yeah, ByuN doesn't take the bait. ByuN sees that Overlord and he decided to nope out of there. Not today, Serral. Not gonna happen. Almost first blood. Almost. You know what? Maybe there doesn't need to be a... Maybe we don't need to have first blood, you know? Maybe we can fight this out through diplomacy. Or maybe a rock, paper, scissors. Is there a ledge on this map? No. No room for Jimmy on the ledge. Not this time around. Okay. What is this? Absolute abomination of a setup. What are we doing here, ByuN? So we have no third command center, and we have all of this. Where are we going to be spending our money? What's the goal next? That command center started up like a good... Yeah, I want to say 15 seconds late. And likewise, the amount of gas that ByuN has in the bank right now is pretty atrocious. There's 0 ways for him to spend it. This is messy. Very unrefined. I mean, it's okay if your opponent isn't Serral. You know, also hit a small little supply block there for a moment. Look, if we want to squeeze out as much value out of the early game as possible, we should be as sharp as possible too. And this right over here is not it. Maybe I'm being overly critical, but I don't think that's the sort of strategy we should see here. I also don't believe that this really leads anywhere. Like, we now have a delayed third command center and a bunch of Marines over here on the left with 1 medevac. What's this gonna do? We have a bunch of Hellions on the right. What are they gonna do? So we delayed our third command center for quite a long time. For what? A creep tumor kill? Yeah, maybe I'm a jerk. Maybe I'm being a little overly harsh. Maybe a little bit too critical. But we have seen what Serral does when he, well, starts off the game much better than he did in the previous one. When he gets an advantage early on already, generally speaking, he will grab control of it and never let go. Okay, we're actually just gonna go for like a full-on push, I guess. It's a little bit confusing though. This whole strategy is a little bit of a mess. We do have the double upgrades coming up, and you can obviously always just go for an attack with the double upgrades and then the stim pack finishing up too. Serral scouts all of this though, and he will see. I think he's even gonna see the additional Rexes. He will see precisely what's going on inside of the bases of the Terran. Yeah, he does see him. Yeah, and ultimately, ByuN can go for an attack. Ultimately, ByuN can also play macro off of this. Oh, this is so bad. Ah. Well, the Hellions coming in clutch there in the end. But if you look at the work account right now, yeah, I don't really love this. Still, Serral needs to respect it. So far, he is not really going for a whole lot of respect. It's a pretty delayed bailing speed, considering the timing that he could have started at. He's going to go for a proxy hatch, a super fast fourth. No Roach Warrant, so this is straight Hydraling Bane. Ultimately, this is ByuN with 1 more Marines and Stimpack showing up. And even though I've been critical of the ways in which he got here, men with gun, good. Men with gun, really good. When there's only pretty much Zerglings available, Hellbat's obviously also not a bad unit. Liberator here, outranging this position. Hydras, not yet available. Oh, do we have enough? Oh no, did Serral actually just... What a weird game, GG. Okay, that takes us to White Rabbit. Of course, the game where I am hyper-analyzing the Terran. Of course, the game where I am paying attention to exactly what he does, and it's clear that it's all a little bit messy. Of course, that's the game where Serral gets massively confused. Honestly, that may be one of those situations where the... I was gonna call it excessive, but that's not really the case. The ridiculous amount of scouting that Serral does, I guess it can kind of work against him. Like, he saw a lot. I was a little bit confused by the Terran strategy, just by, well, looking at everything, right? I can imagine when you're dealing with all of the limited amounts of info, aka the info that Serral had, he looked at it, he tried to make sense of it, and it probably didn't really make a whole lot for him either. So, yeah, 1-1 Marines show up, Stimpack is available, you don't really have enough units yet done. He could have had Baneling speed finished. He could have even had a Roach Warren, I guess, that would have 100% shut it down. Never count out the Marines. Now we have got ourselves a double barracks opener here for ByuN, although he's going for a very quick reactor. So double barracks here in the natural into double Reaper. Is that what we do? Yeah, I think it was I think the previous game was one of those setups where technically the game was suboptimal, but sometimes, especially at this level, playing suboptimally can actually result in a win because it's confusing for the opponent as well. There's no denying, though, that the build was suboptimal, because especially, like, the third base, the third command center timing, it was like a half-minute late. Anyhow, third command center, or sorry, third barracks now already coming up, and this is another one of those really weird, spicy builds. So the norm with these Reaper openers is to make at least 3. 3 to 5, sometimes 2, is what we usually see with this. Now, we have a pretty quick command center on the back of this, but we have a much faster third Rex. Normally, you do not get a third barracks going already at this stage in the game. And this is another one of those strategies that Serral might scout and get a misread on. He's going to look into the main base here. He will see that there's no third command center. That's fair. If he doesn't see the third barracks, though, he's going to be a little bit confused. Okay, he's actually going to sack the Overlord, it seems. A lot of Marines waiting. No, he actually pulls back the Overlord. A lot of Marines waiting. Zergling Scout, maybe if it hits over here, could see the third Rex too. Nice movement, though, here by ByuN. Does he see it? Oh, he does. He does. Ah! Man, maybe we should make it over here instead. Maybe over here. I think now Serral has his work cut out for him. Seeing the third barracks already, seeing the lack of a third command center, it's going to be a very, very big Marine push. How many drones do you want to go for, Hero, as the Zerg? How many do you want to produce before you commit to link production? Apparently 42 is the answer. It does seem a little bit greedy, but of course 42. The answer to the life, the universe, and everything. He's making even more. All he really needs to do is hold this incoming push. Man, Serral's being so greedy. He saw it perfectly. Maybe he just considers this build terrible. I feel like you need like 30 links, but he's got like 15. I guess queens are good. There's no Medivacs available. Here goes Stimpack, though. Combat shields are already done. There we go. And this is a nice attack. Problem is, queens. Yeah, Brenda and the gang are not messing around, man. That was almost disrespectful right there from Serral. Like he was droning in the face of danger. Okay. Well, there was a lot of potential there, ByuN. But I think he just got countered pretty hard. Problem is, these units have no way to go home. There's no Medivacs out, of course. And while they are gonna get some value, that was a one-way trip. Okay, so lair coming up right now for Serral. Baneling Nest as well to celebrate the victory. Third hatchery is gonna receive a lot more mining. ByuN, you have a gigantic main. The main on White Rabbit is huge, dude. We don't have to... Oh, sorry. I got a Rex Ock. Ready. Ready? Ready. All right, excellent. You don't have to cram it all over here. It's okay, I guess. A bunker? A bunker? No! I guess somebody lagged. I guess somebody disconnected. And then we continued playing the game. Serral and ByuN, both entirely unimpressed. So, this bunker is a little bit funky. I'm not sure what it's even really protecting. Maybe he's afraid of like a Mutalisk follow-up or something along those lines, but if you suspect that it's Mutas, you would plant down missile turrets. Yeah, I guess the advantage here of the bunker is you can always salvage it and get some of your money back. A little piggy bank bunker. Okay, so what does Serral do here? Well, even though he grabbed a nice little advantage in the earlier stages of the game, he's not really capitalizing on it too much. Really just playing this out relatively slowly. Hydraling Bane, yet again. This time around, though, you actually finished up Baneling speed. I'm sure he would have liked to have that in the previous match. ByuN's got one Liberator out on the map, and he's now trying to secure the third command center. Okay. Pesky little Zergling over here for ByuN. ByuN, though, takes the base on the other side, and Serral hasn't seen it. Liberator goes in around the side. Queen's already waiting over here in the main base. Spore Crawler coming up as well on the newly made 5th. Don't do it! No! Don't do it, drones! Okay. Zergling run by, though. He has seen that there was no command center at the bottom. He did see that there was a third command center, but nice cornering here by ByuN. He's gonna get the majority of those links. Not bad. ByuN fires up 2-2. And you know what? Even though all of this has been a little bit messy, at the very least there has been a lot of losses on the side of the Terran. We are going to arrive at a pretty dang good timing attack yet again. This is not yet it, though. He's just testing the waters a bit. There's enough medevacs to pick everything up in case they really need to evacuate on out of there. Looks like the Liberator is still dancing. 3 confirmed kills. Drone denial, though. The drones are trying their absolute best to do a bit of mining, but... Little Baneling roll by. Ooh, look at the jimmies. Nice splits. Nice control here in general. The Liberator is going to fall. Not a bad sequence, though, right here for ByuN. And 2-2 now is on the horizon. Careful, careful, pick up. Woo! That was close. If you want to go for a 2-2 push, you can, of course, not afford losing any Marines here. Or at least not too many. Gotta get some real good value to justify it. Very little creep right here on the right, though. ByuN's multitasking here is really solid. Pre-splitting his units yet again. Yeah. He's, by the way, on 6 racks. Ugh. 6 racks into a 4th command center, and then into a 9 racks. Careful, ByuN! Ooh. Well, that's the end of the 2-2 potential. I think this is a miscalculation right here for ByuN. Normally you go for 5 and then into 8. I guess that 3rd barracks that he made early on, it kind of threw Serral off a little bit, but it also threw ByuN himself off because he autopiloted into ending. Oh, wow. Into adding a bunch more in the mix. He wanted to go for an all-out push, I think, with 2-2 finishing up. And it started off pretty well, the Marine aggression here, but then everything just sort of got destroyed. And rather than playing this one out, I guess he's remembering the first game. Rather than playing it out, he decides to just leave. Okay, and that takes us to the beautiful map, Mothership. A Protoss map for Zerg versus Terran. Is that even allowed? We get a little bit of Protoss representation as well in this matchup. Not such a bad idea. But it does mean, of course, that we have a Zerg and a Terran fighting over Protoss space. Certainly they're not the bad guys, right? No. It's the Protoss that are the bad guys. That's actually one thing that in the StarCraft community, people can always agree on, okay? If you ask... Say, for example, if you ask a Zerg player, do you think Protoss is overpowered? Zerg will probably say yes, and Terrans, likewise also, will say yes. It's something you can shake hands over. It's a beautiful thing. No matter what you change, 2/3 of the community are always going to be disagreeing. I feel like that was more so a thing back in the day. These days, usually folks are a little bit more relaxed about it, and I think most people realize that actually, no, we all benefit if the game is more balanced. So far, though, I feel like this has been a very balanced matchup where, yeah, across the board, Serral's just been playing ever so slightly better. Obviously, he did lose that second game, but that was a weird one. It's weird because I think ByuN played much better in game 1. And then he played quite poorly in game number 2. Can I say that without being a jerk? I don't know, man. Sometimes I get people getting upset at me for being critical of professional gamers. Sometimes I get YouTube comments of people saying like, well, if you know it so well, Loko, why don't you play instead? Look, because I can't. They're much better than me, but that doesn't mean that I can't criticize their... Anyways, look, I think ByuN played pretty poorly in the second game of the series, but then he did end up winning, mostly because I think Serral was very confused about what he scouted. And even though it's a win, like, just because something won doesn't mean that it's a good strat. Does that make any sense? This is something that I see all the time, man, where people are like, well, it worked, so therefore it must mean that it was good. No! No, just because it works doesn't mean that it's good. At the very least, if it's not repeatable, I don't think you can really consider it to be a powerful strat. Obviously, the score here in this one-off series is obviously much better for ByuN than a 3-0 win here for Serral, but I don't think that was his best showing. The third game, though, was a little bit messy. Like, the third game, it looked really strong initially, but then the micro for ByuN, usually the one part of the game that he is always extremely good at, he never really messes up his control. Like, for example, right over here, that Reaper could have died very easily. But his micro usually is his backbone, and that kind of faltered a bit in the previous game. So, Mothership it is. There is a pesky little overlord here. Look at this pervert. Just staring from the shadows. Probably licking his overlord lips. Disgusting. He's not even looking, though. Like, I guess this is the face right over here, right? He's not even really looking at it. His overlips. Overlord lips. You know, when I first started watching StarCraft, I really thought that these right over here were the eyes of the Overlord. I never really paid attention to the fact that they actually have a face. Kind of looks like their eyes, though, to be still. Anyhow, the Reapers here are dancing around a little bit, but so far they haven't really managed to deal any damage. They've slowed down the Zerg a bit, though. They need to be real careful, because now link speed is done. It's so nice to have Serral playing in these tournaments again, though. I'm sure ByuN doesn't agree, but the man still has it after taking a little bit of a break. He's back in full swing. There's actually quite a few series lately of Serral versus Maru that I still really want to go ahead and check out. I've had so many good games to have a look at that, well, I haven't covered the Serral versus Maru games yet. There's actually multiple series. Very excited for that. If you're interested in checking those out as well, make sure you subscribe on YouTube so you get notified as soon as those videos do go live. Because I will certainly be casting them. Even if nobody's interested, I'm going to just do it for myself. Now, but Serral has been playing in a ton of tournaments again. Maru has been playing in a ton of tournaments again. And I think this proves to us, right? Like, there was this... I don't know, I could kind of sense it a little bit on Reddit and in the YouTube comments and in Twitch chat where people were like, maybe Zerg is kind of in a rough spot right now. Maybe Zerg is not really playable anymore because it seems like a lot of, I don't know, a lot of Zerg players are dropping out of tournaments and all the rest of it. But then, well, Serral's back. And I think we all learned that, nope, Zerg is actually pretty damn good. Just play like Serral, dude. Just play like him and you'll probably be okay. It's one of the complex things, of course, about StarCraft balance in general, because if you look at the top-level Protoss players, like Hero, like Classic, like, for example, MaxBax, right? Like, all these top guys, they play in tournaments all the time. And it's the same for Terran. If you look at Terran, you have players like, for example, ByuN, players like, for example, Clem, playing in literally everything. But then you do not have the highest-ranked Zerg player participating in stuff for, like, a half year. It makes the balance look a little bit lopsided, just because... well, you don't have the highest ranked player in that specific race participating, and Suddenly, yeah, the balance report looks a little bit out of whack. Seems to be like Zerg is totally fine. This always looks so cursed, though. On Mothership. How is the creep patchy? How is it... Okay, well, don't look at it too long. So far, this has been a pretty passive game. Both players just trying to macro up yet again. Hey, ByuN, be a bro. Finish the rocks. Come on, man. Serral's been working away at those debris for a bit. Now, apparently, neither player wants to finish it. Benchy going in around the site. Not even a single spore crawler setup. That seems so greedy to me, right? Like, he has spores. These are for medevacs. But no spore to try and deny this Benchy. He knows that there's no cloaking. So I guess you may as well. Push over here in the middle. Let's see. One queen ends up going down. Second queen does get a transfusion. A little bit of creep spread yet again. ByuN doing a great job denying that creep spread so far. Little Zergling run by at least attempted, but I think there's plenty of Terran units to deny it. What about the mineral line itself? Serral doesn't want to make the dive. Okay. ByuN making 5 supply depots at once. Man loves supply depots. Or maybe he hit a bit of a supply block. Who knows? So far, though, this is a really solid game here for ByuN. He does need to fire up the +2 attack as well with the next resources. So right about right now. Right now? Okay, maybe I'll look away from it for a little bit. Right now? Okay. ByuN, don't do this to me, please. ByuN, please. ByuN. ByuN's busy dancing. Micro Jackson is going at it out onto the map. He's got multiple control groups, but then he's also making the most ByuN move of all of them, getting the +2 armor. ByuN does this all the freaking time, man. +2 infantry attacks is better in this setup. There's no doubt about it. ByuN knows this. He's mentioned it in the past several times that he just autopilots a little bit here. Forgetting a double upgrade, though, is so big. He does get a hatchery kill. Like, this is the problem. He feels like he's flying right now. But then he may be shooting himself in the foot in the meantime. We really... Oh, okay. He doesn't forget about it. Thank God. That was a little bit delayed. Command center now at the front is going to die. And the problem is that Zerg has been getting their upgrades at a reasonable time here. Now, obviously, I've been really... I've been scrutinizing ByuN a lot more this series long. I haven't really been paying as close attention to Serral. Maybe that's a bit unfair. But as soon as Zerg finishes more upgrades, there is no denying that these Terran pushes, this parade attacking that he does, all of his multitasking, it is going to get a little bit weaker. Nice micro yet again, though. He wants to get the Banes. Oh. Individually tapping the Banes as he flies down to the low ground. This army, we're going to have to pick up and get out of here. Yep. He waits until the last second. Doesn't really want to deal with those banelings, it seems. Siege tank is going to die. What about the fight over here on the left? Picks up yet again. Goes down to the low ground. Now, one really good thing here for ByuN is that Serral's hive has been pretty slow. So we got a hive now done. Adrenal glands coming up yet again. A couple of Vipers coming in here for Serral. Now, are we going to fire up? I wonder. Are we going to fire up 5 Dropper Lords yet again? I don't think he can really do it. It just seems a bit expensive. 75 drones is not that much. Or 81 drones right now. It's not that much. Supply-wise, Zerg is a little bit behind. And ByuN is still pushing. +2 armor right now done for those infantry units. He's already fired up the +3. +2 attack is going to be done within the next 30 seconds or so. There's the Overlord speed. I think he's thinking about it. Overlord speed together with the +3 carapace. Push over here in the middle. Targeting down a lot of banelings yet again. His own medevacs, though, obstructing the view a little bit, so he decides to just pick up and get on out of there. Good split by Serral. Lovely split by Serral, actually. Only losing a single ling. Hydra then coming up now. And while this has been a pretty rough first 11 minutes in the game, Serral seems to be mostly stable. And now he celebrates with 15 drones. Overlord speed is coming up. It's nearly done now. Are we getting our Dropper Lords going? Is this really the new standard? Like the new standard early late game, I suppose. Push over here on the right continues yet again. ByuN absolutely relentless. He's denied this base now so many times. No lurkers, by the way, for Serral. No lurkers, no ultras, no brute lords, none of that. This is just pure Ling Bane with now Hydras added into the mix. The Hydras are going to be a solid backbone, but ByuN is thinking about continuing this push relentlessly, right? He's now got the 4th command center up in the middle. He's got all of the production that he needs. Pushing on to creep is tough. But this is ByuN in a nutshell. This is the ByuN we all know and love, right? We have all of this command center production now added into the mix, so he is preparing for a late game switch. Desperately trying to crack this Zerg player, but not really getting the job done thus far. But he's got him exactly where he wants him to, though. There is a light at the end of the tunnel now here, though, for Serral as he's getting the Lurkers going. Lurkers really are super powerful when it comes to stopping these type of parade pushes from the Terran. ByuN just rallying everything that he's got now in this direction. Can back up to the safety of that planetary as well on his side of the map. Excellent micro here yet again. Additional starports coming up for him too. So he's going for the Mass Liberator switch rather than making the transition towards Ghosts. Push over here in the upper left too. Hatchery. Is it going to die? Nope. Nope. A little bit overly greedy. Now we have some Vipers added into the mix too. The splits on those medevacs are good, but it does mean that the Marines are left behind for just a moment. And even though the Lurkers are coming... Oh, another hatchery that won't die! Oh, 20 HP! Well. Maybe Serral needed a little bit of luck. But that was obviously really good for him. Finally. I mean, this is like the first time in like 10 minutes that he gets a little bit of time to breathe. Lurker range coming up. We'll see the Liberator range, though, in a moment here with the Fusion Core now coming. 4th command center, probably one with a... Or 5th command center, rather. Probably one with a planetary coming up here in just a moment. ByuN really should just automatically assume that there is a Zergling burr out there. Now he's going to have to backpedal again. Push over here on the right. It's going to continue, but in about a half-minute time, I think, is when the Lurkers are going to be hitting the battlefield. And all of these pushes are going to be much harder to pull off. I'm surprised Serral isn't trying to morph in a bunch of those Lurkers. I guess he's maxed. Weird problem to have. Can't make more units because you're maxed. And you know what? I actually missed it. My bad. We had a little hit squad coming in. Da-na-na-na-na-na. This is Operation Hatchery. That's Hatchery number 1 going down. Boom. Very nice. I would love to see another Operation Hatchery as well on the left side. What about one over here on the right, actually? You know what? Yeah, Hatchery is pretty low. Blinding Cloud, though, forces this Terran army to back up. And now the Hydras are going to be able to break through. I would like to see the dash upgrade for the Hydras, actually. Quite good when you're trying to go down a ramp like that. This Zergling over here, though. Look at his pesky little eyes. He's going to die eventually, but he has successfully delayed that base by like a full minute. Operation Hatchery, by the way. No, not that way. You guys should really... I guess there's a couple of spore crawlers being annoying. Okay, we can just try and run. We can just try and run for it. There's the advanced ballistics upgrade coming up. ByuN, where are we going? The Marauders are lost. I guess the old army hotkeeyed them back. Zergling run by now, heading up to this mineral line, and it's gonna slow everything down a bunch. We have some infestors now also added into the mix. Serral actually making the tech. Oh, abducting his own overseer. He made the tech to go all of those lurkers, but then he made 0 lurkers. Did I just miss it right when I... Of course I did. Did the Marauders actually just go all the way to the middle of the map to then make a beeline back towards the upper left? You guys were supposed to be sneaky, man. This is like me playing stealth games. I suck at playing stealth games. So this is whilst the fight is happening on the left side. They all take as many banelings as they could possibly hit. Luckily right there for ByuN, there wasn't one additional bane. Likewise though, command center over here. Not a good spot for him. A rather messy game here for Serral, I gotta say. He's trying his best to be in a stable position. But he's lost a lot of stuff. Now another hatchery. My god, Operation Hatchery is going hard. These guys have taken so much damage that they can actually not use Stimpak anymore. Does it matter? Nope. And while they will die, except for the one guy that was being healed up, while they will die, they have successfully cleared out multiple bases. Caduceus reactor coming up. That's the Medevac energy regen here for ByuN. Can't blame him for it. Probably a good idea to get some more healing going on his army. Likewise, though, we finally have some lurkers. Okay. The main thing right here that's making the game difficult for Serral is the lack of creep spread. But with a lurker army like this, you always have to be a little scared as the Terran player that this lurker army doesn't just go across the map and burrows right next to your planetary fortress. Like, yeah, we have a good army here, but we don't have the Liberator count. We don't have the Ghost count to really shut this sort of thing down. And now Serral is coming in from every side. Lurker's going in for a bit of a flank as well. And this is exactly what I was trying to say. You don't need much here as the Zerg to push through. Terran may have been the aggressor. Oh, some really great abductions too. ByuN has been the aggressor for the majority of the game. But Serral has hung on, right? Like, he's in a good spot. Maybe he hang off to the side of the cliff. Now he kills the planetary pretty easily. Lurker goes in around the side. We'll be able to burrow behind the mineral line too. There's really not a whole lot of scans available. ByuN did make, though, triple starport. No additional reactors on those bad boys just yet. I would love to see it. But that's 15 SUVs going down, and this is when that momentum can so quickly swing. Terran has been in the driver's seat for pretty much the entirety of the game. But now if you, like, zoom out in this match, is this really that bad of a spot for Serral? Sure, this hasn't been comfortable for him, but he's starting to shut down all of the medevac drops, and now he has got such a superior army. Blinding Cloud over here as well, those Vipers. He's got 4 of those bad boys, providing a lot of value. ByuN needs to be careful that he does not let this slip out of his fingers. Orbital Command moving to the front lines. Ghost production starts up. I'm a little bit surprised that we made all of those medevacs out of those additional starports. Like, why did we... Oh no, he needs to be careful that he doesn't lose these guys either. Medevacs. Will they be able to slip out? They will. Still though, that Hydra dash ability. The nanomuscular swell. That's what it's called. It's a disgusting name, I agree. Anyways, it is very useful here. Another hatchery. Will it go down? Nope, doesn't look like it. Terran forced to back up. Yep, there we go again. Serral swelling pretty hard there. That's what Blizzard wants me to call it, okay? The research is called nanomuscular swell. Everybody calls it dash, but that's not the name. We should probably call it dash, though. Apparently, it's the more lore-accurate description of the ability. I don't know. StarCraft lore is disgusting. Medevac tries to swoop in around the side. Gotta be careful. Another Hydra. Chipping away. You can really feel that moment when the adrenal glands upgrade kicks in, right? Like, I feel like these games have been going pretty well for ByuN, but then as soon as the adrenal glands upgrade kicks in, so the attack speed for the Zerglings, it seems to just go downhill. Now, it also coincides with those Vipers getting energy out. with the Lurker tech and the Ultra tech becoming a possibility. So it's a little difficult to really pinpoint it on just one thing. But that Zerg late game transition is really strong. Ay, those ghosts are pricey. I think ByuN is starting to get to a point where the game is a little rough for him. He's not actually been mining a lot of Vespene here at all. Forcing himself to go into so many Marines. Like, how many of them have died? 212. That is a ridiculous amount. And while many Zerg players would have already died, because so many hatcheries have fallen, so far it seems like ByuN has a very difficult time actually closing it out. Yeah, I don't know where you guys are going. What? Did he just stutter step into the banelings? It's like watching myself play Terran. I don't think you want to stutter step into banelings, guys. I'm not an expert. Actually, I am an expert. You don't want to do it. Bad idea. Oh, hold fire on the Lurkers. Oh. Yeah, and this is where I know ByuN can tilt pretty hard. It seemed to me like he was tilting at the end of the previous game. Didn't really want to look into it all too much, but he seemed very frustrated. That was an early GG. Then he really re-grabbed himself in like the first 18 minutes of this game. But now we're experiencing what looks like... Ugh. Ugh. Sorry, I know there's a big fight going on over here and all the rest of it, but what the... Ugh. Is that what they look like? GG gets gold. I agree. I don't know if ByuN has seen that there is a disgusting Lurker hiding off to the right side of that battlefield, but my god. Now, beautiful series of StarCraft 2. Serral doing Serral things here in this final game. Kind of looked like he was never in control, and then suddenly he was, right? Going for like a 10-minute hive, never really what you want to do as a Zerg player if you cannot avoid it, but he got there eventually, and had enough economy to actually keep it going. And then the adrenal glands kicked in. The, what are they called? The Vipers obviously got energy, and then eventually the switch towards the Lurkers. The counterattacks as well. Honestly, a brilliant game. What did you think, what do you think, Toby? Do you have any input? Any final words? Hit like and subscribe, bitches! You can't say that. It's okay. It's okay. We forgive you.